Okay, Natalie, I have pushed the live stream. Now you can make me co-host.
Okay, let me do that now. There we go, we're good. So I don't have many people booked in. If we have no one, I'll still be doing it due to live stream. So
Yeah. Okay, no.
regardless, I'll be doing the class. All right. So just the thing, if we do have any live learners and they ask any learners and they ask a question in the chat box, can you let me know that that's there, or you can read out the question? Great. Thanks.
Sure, sure. I will do that.
Perfect. Here's someone. Okay. All righty. Welcome. But no, you can't hear me. Welcome back, Elma. I think you are going to, well, you're connecting to audio, so you may not be able to hear me just yet. If there you are, you're in audio. So welcome back, Alma. I am assuming it is something like 2 a.m. or sometime very late for you. So thanks for joining us right now. We'll just see if we can, if anyone else is wanting to come on in. But actually, while I am waiting for that to happen, let me just share my slides. Oops, wrong button. Here we go. There we are. Okay, so there is the screen. So this is for anyone coming into class. We are live streaming as well. So welcome to your Supple Spine. It's a movement class. The movements that we will be doing in class today are simple movements. They may not necessarily be easy for you to do, but the aim is for you to be moving your body in a way that feels okay for you. We're all highly individual, so the movements that you do you need to feel good about it while you're doing them, right? You might encounter some pain or something when you're doing a new movement, a movement that's not familiar to you. And if that's the case, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're hurting yourself. Maybe you have to have a little bit of a play with it, maybe change the movement slightly, maybe make it a bit smaller. You might even need to rest. So there's all sorts of things we can do with movements that are new, maybe novel to ourselves. So anyway, this is the class that we're doing today, your supple spine, all about moving the spine in all the different ways that we can think of. A little bit about me, for those of you who are new to my classes, my name's Natalie W. There are two of us here, based in Melbourne, Australia. So I am the movement teacher. I've been teaching since 2001. That journey started with a yoga teacher training that I did in India. And then I had to think about what I was doing and realized I didn't know anywhere near enough about the human body that I wanted to know. I'm a why person, so that journey led me on to some Pilates training and something called restorative exercise and personal training certification, many foot certifications as well, just to name a few. There's been lots of them over the years, and all of that information that I've learned has helped me to develop the type of movements that I like to teach these days, and that's all based around people such as yourselves to stay independently active. I want to really help you become more curious about your body, more aware about your body and how it works, and empowered and feel strong and able to move well for the rest of your life, right? So you can do everything that you need and that you want to do to have a joyful and movement-filled life. All right, some housekeeping from Get Set Up. If you've heard this a million times, it doesn't matter. You can hear that again or go and do something else while we're waiting. At Get Set Up, right, we learn from each other. Ideally, you'd have a camera switched on so you can see what other people in class are doing, maybe get some tips, some ideas of different ways that they might find to move, particularly if what I'm suggesting is not perfect for you in the moment. But if that's not okay, also fine with having you with your camera switched off. That you need to do what's comfortable for you. If you enjoyed the class and you'd like to do it again, at the end of the class, you may email help@getsetup.io and someone there will send you a copy of the recording. If you are joining by live stream, it is a maybe a better way to join by booking and registering for the class. That way you can interact a little bit more fully. I'm quite happy for you to unmute yourself and ask any questions that you might have about any of the exercises that we're doing. And also, if that's not okay, you can type those questions into the chat box. And Brandon, who's our technical assistant for the class, will let me know that those questions are there. Also, Brandon is here if you have any technical issues, so type those into the chat box and he can help you out with those ones. Finally, for this one, get set up and not paid to promote any specific product, so I'm not here to sell you anything. Last but not least, with the welcome slides, please check with your doctor if you have any medical concerns. I'm a movement professional. I am not a medical professional. So if there's anything along those lines and I have given you some contrary advice, please do or take the advice of your doctor or your physical therapist or someone else who is more intimately acquainted with your body and knows what is best for you. Well, you know what's best for you, but they'll give you some other advice from their perspective. Okay, so that's it enough for me with the sharing of slides. I'm not using any particular props in class today. So all you'll need is yourself and a floor, if that's okay for you to be lying down on your back. On your belly will be on hands and knees as well. If that is not okay for you, I'll be giving some options in a chair. So if that's your preferred way of doing your movements, get yourself a chair that preferably doesn't have any arms on it, but whatever you have available will suffice. We're going to start standing today. So if that's okay, come on up into a standing position. I'm going to spotlight myself so it's easier for you to see me. If that's not okay, if you prefer more of a gallery view, you can change your view on your screen. But let's come on up to standing. Let me just get the chat box ready just in case there are any questions. Okay. So come on up to standing or seated. Right. So the first movements that we're doing here, it'll just be more the top part of your body. The lower part of the body, you'll still be sitting in your chair. So I'm going to come on up. Maybe put a little bit of a bend in your knees. We're going to start with some simple ways that the spine can move in all the different ways. And it's going to start with what we call a roll down. So maybe bend your knees a little bit or a lot or maybe none, and then nod your head. Just drop your head down. See if you can let your arms dangle, and you're going to start to do a roll down. So the crown of your head is leading its way down towards the floor. See if you can allow your arms to dangle in space. You want to let them go, maybe even give them a bit of a shake around as you come on down. And notice how that feels, right? I can come down, I can actually quite comfortably touch the floor, but you may be nowhere near the floor, and that's perfect. Wherever you get to, it will be just fine. And then we're going to round and roll back on up to standing up nice and tall. All right. Once we're up all the way, we're going to try that again. See if the second time maybe it is easier, right? Maybe it isn't. Round and roll down. Maybe the first time you've done it, it's like, oh, I'm not too sure how I'm feeling now. The second time might feel better. Down we go. You're coming to where it's okay for you. See if you can let your head hang. See if you can let your arms dangle. And then round and roll back on up to standing on up nice and tall. Do that one more time, and I'll just show you very briefly in the chair. So if you're in a seated position, you can have your hands on your legs on the seat, and it's the same action here with your upper body. You're going to round on down just to wherever you can come. It could be the tiniest way. It might just be a head nod. It might be head down towards the floor in between your knees, and then round and roll. You can still push down through your feet to come on back up to standing up nice and tall, or seated, I should say, in this position. All right. So the same is going to apply for now a sideways bend. So instead of going forward, we're going to take a ear to your shoulder and do a bit of a bend off to one side. Right, now mine starts quite a small movement. It's not huge. And then I'm going to come back up nice and tall. I'm going to do that again. Over we go again. Maybe bend your knees some more. Right, maybe your body finds a little bit more bend once you're there. And then come on back up. And the third time, let's see what happens this time. Your ear goes to your shoulder, you bend to the side. I'm going to bend my knees some more. I'm going to allow my body or my hand to reach down towards my foot some more. Right, and then roll around back up to standing upright. And then the same thing the other way. So start with your ear towards your shoulder. Take it on over to the side in a way that works for you. And then come on back up nice and tall. Let's do it again. Ear to your shoulder. Right. Can your body work out a way to get a little bit further? The second time. And then come on back up. One more time. Right. So with repetition, right, the body might have found some different ways to go some more. I'm finding it hard to let my head hang, also finding it hard to talk, and then come on back up to standing. And then from there, I'm going to try and add a bit more of a circular kind of move. So I'm going to start just to the front a little bit, bend over to the side, and now I'm going to add a little bit of a back bend. So I'm going to lean back, maybe even look on up to the ceiling, and then over to the other side. Now, I'm just exploring this move. This can be a small move. You can put your hands on your hips. You could reach them out. You can do anything that feels okay for you. Around we go. You might need to throw your hair out of your eyes. Right, go around one more time. And this can be a huge move. I'm going relatively small. Right, and we're going to go the other way. Because we're just starting off, I'm going to go around the other way and letting my whole upper body do this circular type of motion around. And again, it needs to feel like it's an okay move for you to do in the moment. Coming around and then back on up to standing nice and tall. Take a moment, see how you feel. Just check in with your body. It's always nice to see, give yourself a little bit of a rest in between moves. Let your body take on board the movements that you've done. And then we're going to use that rolling down as a tool to come on down to lie on our back. So if you don't want to come down onto the mat, even if you are standing, can you come into your seat now? I'm going to walk on out, come onto my hands and knees, and then I'm just going to swing my legs around and roll all the way down onto my back. If there is a better way for you to get down into this position, take it now. I'll give you a moment to get down there. Or like I said, come into your seat. If you're sitting, see if you can sit upright. See if you can sit in this type of a position. Your feet are obviously on the floor, but see if you can raise yourself right up on top of your sitting bones. See the bones underneath your bottom there. Okay. Now, if you're still making your way down, whenever you get here is perfect. We're going to try and just move our pelvis. Right? I do this in so many classes. Can you just start by letting your pelvis tilt backwards or tilt it backwards? That means your pubic bone is coming towards your belly button in that direction. And now shift it, reach your pubic bone away from your belly button. Right. Pubic bone comes towards your belly button. You might feel your lower back press into the mat some more. Move it away. You might feel a little bit of a gap come underneath the lower back. Right, tilting backwards and tilting forward. Keep that action going in the seat. It's the same movement, just in a different dimension. All right, so we're on our sitting bones. We're going to see if we can tilt backwards, roll off onto the fleshy part of the bottom. See if you can come back up on top of the bones, and maybe you can even go forward, roll off the front of the sitting bones, and then back up. Rolling back and up and rolling forward and up. Right, do it a few more times here if you're in your seat. If you're lying down, maybe one or two more. What sort of movement do you get there? And let's make a bigger movement. Start by tilting back, lift your hips up, pushing down into your feet, rolling up off the mat. Maybe you can feel it coming up a bone at a time and roll back down. That's whatever you can feel. Pay attention to what's going on in your spine. We call this spinal articulation, right? In a supine position, right? Tilt your pelvis back. You don't have to know all of that. Rolling up. Just for those people who want more anatomical terms, roll on back down again Right, have a little play with that. It might be a little movement just through your pelvis. It might be further, right, from the seat. It's a little bit different. It'll go the other way. We're perched on the edge. We're going to roll on back. Maybe your back makes contact with the back of the seat, and then come on back up again, up nice and tall. Rounding back. Let's go back to wherever you can. I'm holding onto my knees, and then coming back up. All right. Once you're all the way down on your back, stretch your legs out if that's okay, and have the back of your head on the mat. And I'll just show up from this position first. We're going to just move our head, just do a little nod of your head so your chin comes down towards the chest, and you're going to lift back up again. So if you're seated, you don't have much feedback, right? You don't have any feedback unless your seat is really high or your seat is against the wall, in which case you could lean your head on the wall and then feel the wall behind your head as you nod your chin down towards your chest and then lift it up. So just find that movement as best you can. Right. If you're lying down on your back, right, if it's okay to stretch your legs out, again, you're going to just lift your chin up, keeping the back of your head attached to the floor, and then drop it down. Now, find the movement here through your head first. And we're going to do something that's I know as floor cogs, right? So we're thinking we can separate the body into 3 separate parts of the spine, into 3 separate parts. Sorry, my ponytail's getting in the way. Right, lift your chin up and lower it down. So your head's like one cog. If it tilts backwards, right, and forward, it's going to affect the ribs, right, the rest of the spine and the pelvis as well, and they're going to go in different directions. So what we want to do here is notice, by lifting your chin up, the head tilting backwards and then tilting the chin down, how the rest of the spine follows that movement, right? So when my head goes backwards, my ribs go forward. When my head goes forward, my ribs go backwards. And now my pelvis does the same thing as my head does. And I don't think I'm demonstrating that very well because I haven't been playing around with this. All right, that makes me human. All right, but let's not worry too much about it. Let's just notice, if you're lifting your head up and chin back down again, how the rest of the spine will follow that movement. Like I said, my body's not playing to that tune right now. But anyway, let's do a couple more of these. That's embarrassing. All right, and 2. How about one more? And last one, and release. All right, on that note, I'm going to hug my knees into my chest, give myself a bit of a squeeze, and maybe move them around in some circles. That was not supposed to happen. All right, I love to do these. Stretch your legs on out and take your arms overhead. So you're making a starfish kind of a shape. If you're seated, it will just be the upper part of the body. Now, you want to keep your feet where you are, or where they are, or sort of the heels on the floor. You're going to take your right arm on, reaching up to the ceiling. Look at your fingertips, and then you're going to reach your arm up and over so you can reach for your left hand, and your shoulders, your right side of your body will peel up off the floor as you're reaching across your body. And then we're going to unpeel it, and we're going to roll on back down onto our back into your starfish shape, right? So like all 4 points of all 4 limbs are reaching out. Then your left hand's going to come on up and over. It's reaching across towards your right hand. You let your shoulders roll off the mat, your ribs, your waist, your hips come off the mat, and then roll yourself back down again, allowing that arm to come back down. Switch again, right arm's going up and over. Let your body reach and twist. Keep reaching away with your feet as you do this movement, and then roll on back down. And then the other side, up and over we go. And roll on back. Do a couple more of those if you're lying down on the floor. If you're seated, right, well, let's just make it more of just a twist with your upper body. It's going to be harder to move the lower body. So maybe one hand's down and the other arm can just reach across the body. You can reach, and allow your body to twist. Right, so we're turning from the rib cage, reach across, and then come on back. And let's switch sides. We're going to reach out and across that way. Reach. And then come on back. Maybe 1 or 2 more in each direction. Right, taking it slow, noticing how the body's moving as you're reaching up and over. Right, let what will happen with that reaching of your body. Maybe it's just your arm lifts off the mat and the rest of your body doesn't follow. Right, I find that happening a lot. And then just pause a moment in this starfish position. And then maybe once again, hug your knees into your chest, or do what feels okay. If you're seated, you might just want to fold forward. And then we're going to let our feet come to the mat, and we're going to do some rotation now with the lower body. Take your arms on out wide to the side, and now just roll your knees to one side, right? So now the twist is being initiated from the lower body, and then roll them back on up towards the ceiling, and then roll them over the other side, in the other direction, and roll them back again. Can you see how my whole pelvis now is more of my lower back is getting that turn? You're going to roll over to one side. Come on back. Today I'm not being too pedantic about how this is happening. I'm just allowing my body to turn and then come on back. Now you could stay like that with your feet on the floor. If you want to make that a little bit sort of heavier for your body to support yourself, you can lift your feet up into space and take your legs over to one side again. Right, now there's more work that's involved in lifting your legs back on up, and go the other way. And lift on up. Do a couple more of those. Now, unfortunately, in the chair, again, it's not going to be a huge movement. You can do your legs, you can hold on and you can just move your legs one way and come back. That might be the nicest way to do it. If you want a larger twist, you can again just sort of reach across and let your upper body do some more of the twisting work. So you can choose what works. You can do a bit of both. You can take your knees one way and turn your upper body the other way. Have a little play around with that, a little explore with your movements in your seat. And then lastly, there's one more version. You could stretch your legs on up. They don't have to go fully straight. They might just be more straight. Same again, take your legs on over. So your legs are heavier, right? So the body has to work harder to get them back up and to stop them just from dropping on over to the side. Over one way and back, and the other way and up. Right, one way. Okay, how about one more time in each direction? And that's quite a bit of twisting. Other way. Okay, I'm going to slowly lower my legs all the way down to the floor. And then I'm going to do a sideways stretch whilst lying down here on my back. So I'm going to try and keep the backs of my ribs and my pelvis down on the floor, right, in contact. Right? I'm trying not to twist it now. I'm going to walk my legs on over to the left side. Now, if you've got the range, you could cross your right ankle over your left ankle. That's not necessary if it doesn't feel okay. And then your arms go overhead, and you're going to reach your right wrist with your left hand, and you're going to bend your upper body also over to the left side. Now, this is a bit hard to see, I think, in the camera, but I'm still, the back of my body is making contact with the mat, and my body is now in a banana shape, right, leaning off towards the left side, right? So it's called a crescent stretch. It's a crescent position, right? So I'm in this banana shape. If you are seated, you can just in your chair, one hand down and reach the other arm over and do a sideways bend off to one side. If you can swing your legs on over to that side, bonus, right? It might be better just to work on the upper body. All right, take a few moments here, holding your crescent stretch. And then we're going to undo our legs and our arms and come on back to a straight line first, and then we'll go the other way. Walking your feet on over to the right side. You can cross your left ankle over your right. Reach on up, catch your wrist if that works for you. Bend now to the right side. Maybe you can see a little bit better here. Again, I'm trying to keep the back of my body down on the mat. It's not sort of twisting over. It's staying down. And I have this crescent position here, or banana shape, going off to my right side. So if you're seated in your chair, maybe one hand's down, the other arm's reaching up and over, and you're bending off to the right side. Take a few breaths here. You might feel a bit more space in the ribs there on the left side of your body. Okay, let's undo that. Oops, under your legs, under your arms. Might be nice to hug your knees into your chest again. We're going to come on over onto our belly. So any way you can get there, just roll on over onto your belly. And we're going to do some simple back bending to start off with. So to start off with, your elbows are out to the sides. I'll give you a moment, I'll talk while you're coming on over onto your belly. Your pubic bone is making contact with the mat and your feet are going to stay down to begin with. So looking down to the mat. So the back of your neck can be nice and long. You can use your arms as little or as much as you like to push down, to lift on up, coming on up with your upper body. You might choose to look forward. You might even choose to look on up towards the ceiling. See how it feels in your neck and your lower back in particular. And then roll yourself back down again, all the way down, right? It might be a very small bend. It can be a bigger one, right? Somewhere in between. Come on up again, lift on up, again, forward, look up wherever it's right for you, and then lower yourself all the way back down. Let's do that one more time. Up we go. Lift on up. You can keep your elbows down. You could lift your elbows up. Right, what's okay there for you? And then lower yourself back down to the mat. Once you've done that a few times, we're going to just bring our elbows in a bit closer to each other. So now your elbow ends up underneath your shoulder, right? So your elbows are at 90 degrees and we're setting ourselves up for a forearm plank position. Now, we're not going to go there all the way. We're going to first work on the upper part of the back. So simply press down into your forearms, let your head drop down and just try to round your upper spine a little bit. Right, so it's rounding up to the ceiling. I can feel my belly button lifting up off the mat because I'm rounding my back up. And then I'm going to let my belly button come back down again and lift my head to take a look forward. Again, let your head drop down. Try to press into the forearms, try to lift on up from in between your shoulders, right? You might feel your belly lifting off, maybe not. And then lower back down again and lift your head, look forward. Let's try that again. Round on up. Notice what's lifting. Pause. I can feel my belly shaking a little bit here. And then let yourself come back down again and look forward. Now, if it feels okay here, we'll just have a little bit of a play with our forearms and our elbows. It's going to twist the upper body a little bit. See how you feel. You're going to press down into one hand, lift one elbow up off the mat, press into the other hand, your other elbow lifts off, one elbow comes back down again, and the other down. I realize I haven't shown anything on the chair. Sorry about that. I'll come up in a moment. Right? Other way. One elbow lifts, your other elbow lifts, one elbow back down again, and your other elbow back down. Right? Again, one and other one, and down and down. Right? Have a little play with that. Right? Seated. It's going to be kind of the opposite of that. If you're in your chair, your hands can be on your knees and you can bend one elbow down and the other one, and one lifts and the other one. Right? One down and the other one, and one up and the other one. And apologies for the back bends. I didn't show that. It would be maybe your hands behind your back. You're just going to look up and back. If you missed out on those ones, you might want to have a play with those ones either now or a little bit later. So, okay. So once we've done enough of all of those, when you feel that you need a little breather from there, bring your hands together with your elbows out to the side. Let your head drop down so you've made a bit of a pillow for your forehead. Bend your knees and take your feet off to either side, letting your mid back or your pelvis is rotating from side to side. You can twist a little bit, maybe your upper body, or again, lean forward if you're sitting on the chair. Just something to maybe take some tension out of your lower body. All right, okay. We're going to let our feet come back down to the mat. We'll slide our hands back and push ourselves up and back into what I call a child's pose, not just me, lots of people around the world. It might not be okay for you. Again, this is a forward bend in the chair. And then it's up onto our hands and knees into now some cat and cow movements, right? So pressing down through your hands. If that's too much on your wrists, you can make fists. You could come down onto your forearms. You could hold onto a towel or something if that's better for you. But just a simple rounding your back up to the ceiling. You're going to be looking towards your belly and then let your belly sink down towards the floor. Lift your head and lift your tail on up. So press down, round on up, and then around on down. And again, up we round, and down we go. I'm just going to do 3 more of these. All right, now if you're sitting in your chair, it's same thing, hands on your knees again, round backwards and round forwards. Right, round backwards. Just imagine I'm sitting in a chair right now. Okay. Last one. And then come to neutral. So you're a tabletop position with your back. Actually, change my mind. Go down into this kind of cow pose. Let yourself sink. We're going to now make it more of a waving motion. We're going to start from the head. So we're going to drop our head down. Try to let your upper back round like we're just doing on our belly. Let the mid back follow. Then let your tail tuck under at the end. So there you're in cat pose. Now start by lifting your head up. Let your upper back round down. The mid back will follow. Right, the tail will lift up at the very end and you're back in your cow. Right, let your head drop again. Your upper back's going to round up towards the ceiling. Your mid back will follow. Your tail will tuck under. And then lift your head up. Your upper back sinks. And you round down through your spine and your tail lifts. One more time. Your head's going to drop on down. We're starting from the upper part of the body. We're letting the spine follow the movement, right? Leading from the head. Lift your head up. Let the rest of the spine follow and end up with your tail lifted. Now we're going to reverse that and start from the lower part of the body. So your tail curls under, you're going to round your lower back, your mid back, your ribs lift up and your head will drop down. You might look towards your belly button here, then lift on up from your tail. Your lower back comes down, your mid back, your ribs come down and your head lifts up. Right, your bottom curls under, the rest of the spine will follow. Your head will come last. The tail lifts up. The rest of the spine follows and your head lifts. Can we do that one more time? Curl your tail, round through your spine that way. Lift your tail and round on up that way. And then finish in a tabletop or a neutral position and just have a little waggle of your tail. So turn your bottom one way and then the other way. All right, and again, hopefully that was the same sitting in the chair. All right, okay. From here, can you reach one leg out to the side? Right, so from the front, it's in this kind of a position. I've got my right leg reaching out. That might be your left if you're mirroring me. From here, what we're going to do is just try now to keep the spine flat in this tabletop position and then just push backwards with our hips and then bring them forward. All right, so we're just going to move on back. You might feel your tail curl under a little bit at the end there and go forward. So a little bit more hip movement here. Just going backwards and forwards, taking as much weight onto your hands when you come forward as it feels okay for your wrists. I'll do 2 more of these. Just getting that movement, but without having to curl the back any which way. And then from there, can you make your way up to an upright position? Now, I'm having a sideways week, so I'm doing a lot of these in class this week. You might have already done it with me. Press down through that foot and think about trying to pull that foot across to your other leg. And then from there, you're going to take your hands behind your head if that's okay, or maybe they're reaching out, or maybe they're holding on to you. So if you're in your seat, you might still be able to stretch your leg out to the side, but at the same position with your upper body. We're going to lean off away from the leg. So we're leaning over to the side, and then we're going to come back up again, nice and upright. And again, over to the side. Now, there's a bit of a side bend here and then back up, but it's actually working. Right, the whole of this side of my body, bend over and then come on up. You're just going over as far as it's okay for you. I'm going to do 2 more of these, over one way. Oh, my hip's gripping now. And last one, over to the side, come on back up. Now that's going to culminate in a bend the other way. I'm going to reach my arms out, now bend over, reach for my leg. My hand's going to come onto my leg and my other arm's going to reach on right up to the ceiling. And then maybe I bend a bit more sideways over this leg. That's my right leg that I'm bending over right now. I'm reaching out towards it. I'm trying to breathe as I'm holding this sideways stretch. And then I'm going to come on all the way up. And then I'm going to come back down with my hands to the mat. And I'm simply going to bring my legs together, have a little bit of a wiggle around, and then switch on over. So my left leg is out to the side. Right, so again, we're going to start by going backwards and forwards, right? And do that, right? So if you are on the seat, you're just going to take your leg out any way that you can. Oops, right out of camera. Let's go this way, right? And it might be a forward bend and coming on back up. Sorry, it's taking me to the second side to get here. And back up again. Right, and then when you do your side bending, you're going to go off to the side like that. So let me come back here. Where are we? Forward and bend and backwards, reaching a few more times. And then when you're ready to do so, come on up. I haven't mentioned, but you might need to put some padding. You can put a pillow or a rolled up towel or something underneath your knee if there's too much pressure for your knee here. So remember, we're going to press that foot down into the mat. We're going to try and pull it in towards the other leg. Bring your hands behind your head if that's okay, or reach them out or have them by your side, whatever works better for your body. And then go off to the side. So you're going away from the leg that's reaching out and then come on back up again. Again, over to the side. And then rise on back up. And again, we did 5 of those on the other side. And lift. 2 to go. Over. And up. And last one, right? So we're putting a bit of strengthening kind of sideways bend work into it. Your arms can reach on out wide to the side. And now I'm going to bend over the leg that's extended. Let my hand come to my leg, reach on up through my arm, and then keep bending over the leg now. So this is my left side I'm bending over. It might be right, doesn't matter, we've done both sides. Take a moment to find your breath. And then come on up and then gently come back down, hands to the mat. Bring your knees together, have a little wiggle around here, any type of movement that feels good. And then we're going to come sitting down. Now, for some of us, it's not comfortable just to sit down on the floor. So in which case you might want to get something like a block, a stack of books, some pillows, some towels, anything that you have that will lift you up, that you can sit on top of it and be in a more comfortable position. The old saying is your hips are higher than your knees, right? But it's all going to be different. Everybody that does these moves will find a different height, a different position to sit in. I'm pretty comfortable just sitting on the floor like this with my legs crossed. So if that's not okay for you, your legs can be in any other way. Seated, just straight down on the floor, any way that feels okay for you there. You want to bring your hands to your knees. Actually, if you're seated, you might want to take your knees a bit further apart from each other. And then we're going to do what we call Sufi rolls. So your head's going to stay pretty much where it is. And we're going to try to get the middle part of the body to do this circular action. Right, my head's moving a little bit, but it's not sort of going in that big circle that it did when we were standing right at the start. So I'm trying to circle my waist, like I've got a hula hoop or something there, trying to get it going around in that circle, in that circular kind of motion. And it's going to keep it a continuous movement and see how it feels. Right, I'm going all the different ways through my spine now in what we call the transverse plane, right, when it goes around. You might find that, again, with repetition, your body can find like bigger moves. It might not feel okay, in which case, make it smaller, stop, maybe even try the other direction. I'm going to do 2 more in this direction. And then I'm going to change direction. So I'm going to go the other way. I was going clockwise before, now I'm going anti-clockwise. And as I'm doing these, I'm just trying to breathe as normally as possible. And I'm breathing in and out through my nose. If that's never okay for you, if you're not getting enough breath, breathing in and out through your nose, feel free to open your mouth and do whatever it is that you need to do to keep the air going. Right. We all breathe, we don't even have to think about it, but sometimes we do if we want to think about breathing in and out through our nose, if that's not something that we habitually do. Let's do 2 more of these. And then pause. Think about lifting up really tall. Think about almost like somebody pulling you from the top of the head to lengthen out through your spine. And then I'm going to switch my legs around. You might want to just move your legs in some other way. And we're just going to do some side bends here. So one hand comes down by your side. The other arm's going to reach on up towards the ceiling, reach up, and then take a bend over to the side. Over we go, one way. And then we're going to come on back up again. I'm going to bend again, and I'm going to just allow my body maybe to find a slightly different direction as I come on over into that bend. So it's adding a little bit of a twist into it, right? So maybe I want to twist a little bit more as I'm reaching over. So it's more like I'm reaching across my leg. Maybe you can turn as you reach. All right, so the idea here is to do a side bend, but find a bit of variability in that movement. So I'm not kind of getting the same tissues to do the move, right? I'm wanting to access all the different ways that I can think about while I'm doing this movement and this reach. I'll do a few more of these in this direction. It could be a complete rotation. You could reach on out behind you. All right, last one. You're only limited with how many ideas or how many different ways you can come to, and then we'll switch over sides. So I'm going to have my right hand down. I'm going to lift my left arm. I'm going to reach right on up to the ceiling. I'm going to bend over now to the right side. I'm going to come on back up. And again, I'm going to go to the right. And even if I tried to go exactly in exactly the same place every time I did this bend, it wouldn't be possible. How could I do exactly the same movement? It's never going to be the same. Just not possible. Okay, we're not machines. We're living, breathing organisms that move in different ways. And once we've moved once, right, already there's been some sort of change in our body. Do a few more of these. Again, you can experiment. You could make it into a big twist rather than just a side bend. Reach. And last time, reaching on out. And then I'm going to come on back up and pause there. And then I'm going to reach out with my legs. I'm going to sort of stretch them out. Oops. And again, that might not be okay for you. You might need to bend your knees. You might need to prop yourself up on something else. If you're on your seat, it might not be okay to have your legs straight. So you might want to just keep them bent and your feet on the floor, but maybe take your feet more apart. we'll do a simple twist here. So I'm going to take one hand, one hand on either side of my leg, right? Press down and lift on up nice and tall, and just use my arm to turn my body a little bit over. This is my left leg here in front of me. I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to try to lean forward over that leg without sort of rounding my spine. I'm trying to keep my back more in a bit of a flat back position. Maybe turn, other way, to the side a little bit. So it's a lean over that leg, thinking about keeping my back flat-ish, and then lift on back up. I'm going to stay on the same leg. Again, lean over, and then come on back up. And again, lean over and come on up. And now I'm going to go over, but I'm going to let my head drop down so I'll round more over my leg. And then I'm going to try and roll back up nice and tall. So I'm going to lean. I'm going to let my head drop down towards my knee, and I'm going to roll back up tall. A few more times. Over and head drops and round and up. And it could be the smallest movement. Maybe you're just nodding your head down towards your knee or towards your leg there a little bit. Right. That really depends on your body. Over and then round on up and pause. And then I'm just going to switch to my other leg. So I'm going to turn over this way. And then I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to start with a lean forward, more with a flat back, and then lift back up. And again, over I go. And lift back up. Once again, it can be the smallest thing. Maybe you're not even going forward. Maybe you're in this sort of back position here somewhere. Sorry, I should have shown that too. Right? It could be more like, oh, I'm back here somewhere. I'm just trying to lean. I'm just trying to get into an upright position. That'd be perfect as well. Right? If you're going forward, let's just drop our head now and round and roll back up. And then over we go. Nod and around up. I think I did about 5 on the other side. If you prefer just to come on over and hold it a little bit longer, perfect. That might feel better or the right thing for you to do in the moment. Round and up. And last one. And round and come on back up. And then finally, I am going to go forward. Again, I'm just going to turn sideways. You don't have to turn. Start with your hands behind you. Take a lean forward. You can push backwards with your hands. You can let your head hang. And how about you decide what would feel nicer for you? Just to be more in a flat back kind of position, maybe more on your hips. You might feel that. You could take your hands in front, or you could let your head hang. You could round your spine forward. What would feel best in this moment for you? And we might pay attention to what's going on with our breath. And then walk yourself back on up to sitting. I'm going to just, maybe grab hold of your knees, bend them, bring your hands behind you and do a little windscreen wiper action here with your knees. Go from side to side. So your lower body is rotating again. This I do every week in the hips class. So you notice that, you know, everything in your body is connected, right? I might have a shoulder focus class. I might be doing this in a shoulder focus class because everything here, well, probably wouldn't. Everything is connected. You move one part of the body, everything else is going to somehow be affected by that. Now, we're going to come on up to standing. So I'm just going to come on here, roll over onto my hands and knees. And for me, I'm just going to lift my knees on up, plant my feet, walk my hands back to my feet, and come on back up to standing. Now, there might be an infinite number of ways that you can come on back up to standing. I'm going to bring it right back to where we started, and we're going to repeat the roll down that we did at the start of the class. We're going to add a bit of a twist to that one. So exactly the same that we started off with. You might want to put a bend in your knees, let your arms angle, let your head hang and roll down, leading with the top of the head. Come on down, right? You might find that with all those other moves of your spine that you can come further. You might find that you can't get as far, right? It doesn't matter. Just check in. Round and roll. Back on up to standing on up, nice and tall. And then if it feels okay, rather than just going down through center, we're going to add a bit of a turn, a bit of a rotation. And we're going to do the same thing. Let your head hang, let your arms angle, and come on down. See how that feels, right? And I know personally that I kind of feel a bit iffy. Right? I've had some back issues in the past. And there's something in my subconscious that goes, oh, no, that's going to hurt when you do that. And I tend to stiffen up a little bit and guard the movement. But it's okay. I can actually do it, right? And I can stand back up again at the end of that. Right? Turn the other way. Right? If it's okay, roll on down with that twist. Right? Because most of us, right, we have, our spines are very strong. Well, they're built to do a lot. They're built to carry your body around. Right? And a little bit of a bend is generally, right? Everything's general. It's not going to hurt it, right? Round back up again. Come on back up to standing. All the way, right? They're supple, they're strong, they're healthy for the most part. One more final one coming down through center. This time, just sort of let yourself hang here. See if you can let your head hang, your arms hanging, nod your head a little bit so you can really truly let your head go. Maybe give it a bit of a nod from side to side as well, like you're nodding no, up and down like you're nodding yes. And then with your arms dangling in space, do some little circles there with your arms, one way and then the other way. And then we'll complete this by rounding and rolling back on all the way up to standing on up. Nice and tall. And then that's it for the spine movement for today. Now, with no questions, Alma, do you have anything that you'd like to say from there? All right. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, if you do, pop it in the chat box or whatever. I'm going to just finish off with my closing slides. So here they come. Okay, let's go. All right. This is a big thank you for joining in the class today. If you enjoy this class or any other movement class or any other classes that you do here on Get Set Up, please, if you're on social media, please share them with your followers with the hashtag or the @ Get Set Up after that. Or if you have a story that you'd like to tell about any experiences that you've had here, please email Liz at getsetup.io. There's a picture of Liz there. She writes blogs about our experiences. All right, there's so many fitness classes on Get Set Up right now that I'm sure you'll find one to suit your needs. Have a look at the schedule. You can scroll through all of the upcoming classes. My next class is tomorrow. I'm sorry, I've just changed everything around, so I'm not 100% sure. I think it's your friends, either it's shoulders. I think it's a shoulder class tomorrow. It's my morning as Melbourne, Australia time, 10 a.m., which can be something completely different wherever it is that you are, but check that in the schedule. I also have a number of other classes on the schedule, pretty much 1 or 2 every day. So if you're interested in those, pop my name, Natalie W, into the search function and they'll come up for you. Right. Very shortly after class finishes, I'll be sending off some brief notes about the class with some class suggestions and also a couple of links to help recommend this class to a friend. You'll also be asked for some feedback, so feel free to share some feedback of the class, good or bad, either way. We'd love to know. That way we can tailor the classes more around your needs. So if you are doing the class, it'd be great if you could register for it. When you register, you're asked to invite a friend. You just have to click on the link and you'll get, or click on the button, I should say, and you'll get a link that you can copy and share with a friend. And that way you can have a bit of a chat about it, or maybe share your experiences with your friends after class. Finally, the Get Set Up community is growing. We'd love it to grow even more. So please share with any organisation that you might be a part of, right? We partner with quite a few organisations and we'd love to have some more on board. If you have a class suggestion, something that we don't already have, and you'd like to see something of, please let us know about that. You could also host an interest group if that's your thing, if you'd like to be on this side of the camera and talk about something that interests you, that would be terrific. And then finally, you can request a recording of this session. And for all of that, any questions, any assistance you might need for anything, there's one email to remember, and it is simply help@getsetup.io. So thank you once again for joining us in class today. Have a most wonderful day, no matter which end of the day that is for you. Thanks so much to Brandon for being a technical assistant on this class, and we hope to see you again soon. So thank you so much and take care. Bye.